Hi guys, so this video was going to be about gutting a foamy down to a balsa model, but I didn't need the parts from the foamy anymore. The foamy I'm talking about is the little Radio Link A560 hanging up behind me. I've got all the components I need without having to pull that one apart. So I've re-recorded this intro just to make it short and snappy, and I'm going to get into the build that I've done recorded so far. It takes anyway, but I'm going to try and make it a really short video, and you'll see this little indoor Spitfire take shape. It's all balsa strips mostly and covered with doculum, so it's going to be an invisible Spitfire. Okay, let me get on with the editing and show you what I've done. Cheers guys. So I've been on to Adobe Acrobat, found a free view of a Spitfire. In fact, it's one I downloaded a long time ago. Blew it up a little bit from what it was, and I've ended up with something around, let me show you, something like this. I'll show you here, something about that wingspan. I'm not sure what it is actually, I didn't measure it. It's bigger than my Grillo Spitfire, but smaller than my Durafly Spitfire. So this one is 26 inches, 66 centimeters. I've got a time limit, my fingers bleed inside like this. I was cutting some spam and I missed it and sliced the end of my finger. So I'm going to build this in 10 days. Today's the 5th, indoor flying's on the 15th. Plenty of time. So quick project, get it built and get it ready for test flying the same day as I'm test flying the Click. So here we go. How am I going to do it? Well, let me bend you down again. I'm going to have to do something about that. Oh, yeah. We all love the elliptical wing, so I'm thinking maintain the elliptical wing. So I'm going to cut a wing out of some 5mm, is it, foam board. I'm going to cut a shape out of foam board and laminate around the outside. Right, okay guys, so I've cut out the wing, tailplane and fin before I get it laid up. I've also stripped down some 1/8 balsa into about 1/16 thick, which I plan to put around the edge. And I'm going to try and take it round the wingtip in one go. The wood's a little bit on the stiff side. It was a combination of stiff enough to be a wing, but soft enough to go round. But we'll see. So really I want to steam it about here. Now I've got my steamer out. This is the steamer I bought for, well, this purpose really. But it just puts out a nice amount of steam and you don't have to stand over a kettle to do it. So as usual, I'll say there are more than one way to do this. You can use ammonia, which softens the wood. You can, window cleaner, someone said contains ammonia. I've never used it. And of course you can use steam. You can soak them in a bath of water. Actually I normally do soak them for a little bit just to give it a head start, but as you can see it's starting to go, at least I hope you can see. Let me bend you up slightly. You can see a bit better. The softer the wood, the easier it goes round. If it really doesn't want to do this, then, I mean, I'm asking a lot of it. If it really doesn't want to do it, I'll have to cut some softer wood, but I'll give it a go. I'm doing both sides because it's going to help to relax the wood both sides. So that's around there. It's not too bad. A little bit kinked on the inside, but it won't matter. Okay, so that's the sellotape edge down, so now nothing can glue. I've got plastic on the plan and plastic on the former. Hi guys, welcome back. So what have I been doing while you've been away? I've glued up and laminated the main wing, done the same with the tail and the fin stroke rudder, and I've bent the frame out a little bit just to give it a little bit more shape. I just thought it looked a little bit too skinny, so that's what I've done. So now I can start infilling with something suitable. So, and I've just glued these up, so I can leave those now and start building up the structure on the inside. So I've put some diagonals in and uprights and bits for the aileron horns to fit onto, and I'm going to leave that bit there. I've also put in a fuselage bit and a little bit at the tail. So now I was just thinking to myself, why don't I work on, I popped the fin off. It would be a good idea if a lot of that moved, because if I'm going to be, flying it indoors, I've got to try and turn on the rudder. The rudder's not going to be massive unless I make a lot more of it move. So that being the case, I'm going to have to, that would be about there. No, it's out here somewhere. I might have to angle the back a little bit more. Right, I've put some cross braces in the tailplane. Okay, I'll remove this bit in a moment. What I've got to be careful of is I've separated the ailerons this end so as I could make the fuselage sides. That's just a spacer. Let's just pop the pins. Surprisingly heavy actually. I'm not surprised all this wood and glue, but still. I'm guessing that it's going to fly a lot faster than my indoor model, my Click, but that's the basis then of the wing and fuselage, at least the flat part of the fuselage. Next step is going to be to, that goes up here somewhere. I'll probably cut that so as it butts onto it actually, something like that. So the next step is to get the fuselage plan. If I make the platform, possibly remake the platform, but have it tapering down so it goes from the front, and if I've still got one single profile fuselage, it can just taper down like that, can't it? I've got spacer in there for the tailplane and a spacer in there for the main engine cruciform. So now I'm just thinking, I sort of changing my mind again as I do it. I'm not sure I am going to make two sides. I might just make one side, but I can make a sort of a frame and then decide what I'm going to do. Because if I make two sides for the back, I've got to make two sides for the front, and I'm not sure that's going to look. Because if I just have profile at the front and a sort of a shape at the back, it's going to look a bit daft. So I'm thinking I might just leave it as a profile, and that being the case, this piece here isn't necessarily required because it's at the bottom, not midway. If it was midway, maybe, but so I might junk that bit, we'll see. So I'm just, the wing is going to go on the bottom here, there to there. So I'm just going to put this piece of framework in, and then I'm thinking, well, I could have a similar join there, so that would be, say that would go there like that, and then a piece, maybe I'll also put that piece in first, and that piece would just come across and then cut off square for the wing to sit into. Then I can put some uprights in. That's what I'm thinking, because the uprights will hold the back of this. It'll hold, well, it'll hold everything. Might even put a diagonal or two in for a bit more rigidity. Okay, so first upright in. So now I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to continue putting the uprights in, guys, and then I'll call you back and we can have a look, see what I've done. Sounds like a plan, Cliff. Not necessarily good plan, but a plan nevertheless. Right, guys, I'm thinking a flat wing just doesn't look right on the Spitfire. So I'm going to give it a small amount of dihedral. That being the case, how am I going to do it? What I think is I'll saw it in half right down the middle, cut it in half right down the middle, and glue it back together, sand the ends, glue it back together with a dihedral. Dihedral brace is a bit tricky on such a thin wing. I've just bent up a sort of a lightweight undercarriage, which will go under here somewhere, Spitfire shape. But if I've got a dihedral, I think, how about if what I envisaged was just to stitch this onto a piece of, say, 16th ply. But I suppose if I bend that in the middle and the plywood itself is dihedral shape, flat, bent, cut, steamed, whatever, and I can glue that on to the bottom of the wing, I think we'll be okay. Maybe I should put a little bit more. It's got to be back there somewhere like that. Maybe I should put a little bit more of a mounting for the plywood. So maybe another piece of wood, say there. That's not a bad idea. Oh, it's gone. Okay, what's holding it? Nothing. That wasn't too bad, was it? Now, if I get a long sanding block and a bit of wood, I'll put that up there. Just clean that up a little bit. And now, if I pull that up at an angle, I want the same both sides. We'll get one of the 321 blocks. Let's come down. Don't need a lot of dihedral, I don't think. Give that a quick. There we are. It's got about an inch each side. That's about what I was looking for. So let's pop that up there. Pop that up there. It should be not much of a gap at the bottom, which is excellent. I can glue that in separately in a moment. Put that there. Push this one in nice and tight beside it. There. Same at the back. One there. There we go. We'll let that set. And when we come back, I think that's just nice. I think that looks just perfect. Okay guys, been busy. So the dihedral is set. I've just hinged the ailerons. Plenty of throw on those. So what have I hinged them with? I hinged them with milk bottle, plastic milk bottle, really thin, unbreakable plastic. Just make sure you rough it up before you attempt to glue it. So I've sanded the wing, I've sanded the fuselage, so that will go in there. And the tail I've sanded, yeah, I have sanded actually, haven't hinged it yet. And the undercarriage, oh, there's the motor mount, which I've sanded, so that will go in there like that. And then the undercarriage stitched on and given it a bit of dihedral, so that will fit neatly under the wing just there. I'll glue that on after I've covered it. Somewhere like that. So I'm quite pleased with that. It's looking okay. I'll put that under there, it might hold it up. There we go, roughly it. It's coming along quite nicely, I think. But there might be some decisions to be made for the radio gear. So the rudder hinged, the elevator's hinged. I looked in my little box of spares because I thought I had some smaller servos. I've also got quite a small motor attached to a 5 amp ESC, 2S, still 2S LiPo. So I'm thinking of using this little motor instead. It's going to be plenty powerful enough, and it takes the weight down quite a bit. The time has come, I think, to think about mounting the radio gear, because I can't cover it until I've decided where the servos are going to sit. So I've got to put in some cross braces or whatever for the servo, or even maybe mount the rudder and elevator servo on here, because the aileron servo has to come inside here. Can't mount the motor entirely yet because I probably need to cover it before I can do that. Control runs can go right up the side. They'll only be thin carbon, and then I can decide where the horns are going to go and put in a piece of wood to hold the horn on the rudder and elevator. The components are all finished now. The rudder's hinged, the elevator's hinged, and it's time to start covering. I'm going to mount the radio gear pretty much after it's built. The aileron servo will go in that little area there, with control rods going down to the ailerons. This is Doculam. For those that don't know, it is a document laminating film with a heat activated backing, and it shrinks slightly. So you've got to put it on as reasonably tight as you can, and then you shrink it up, and then you tissue cover it. At least that's what some of us do. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cover it in clear Doculam. I'm just going to tell you the name of the company. You can, if you want some to buy yourself, you can look it up. So the company you want is called, that's it, Refresh Cartridges, and you want laminating film. This is 38 to 42 microns thick, and it's got a width of 320 millimeters and a length of 150 meters. That's pretty long. Refresh Cartridges. In Torquay. Now you know. If you ask under the video where to get it, I know you haven't watched the video. I'll tell you anyway. Right, now I'm going to cut this down. Making a hash of this, aren't I? Because you're ugly. And it's coming on. Just to remind you, I only started it. I basically had 9 or 10 days to build this aeroplane for the indoor fly-in. It's coming up on Monday. Hopefully I can make it. Right, what are we up to? We're up to nothing. I forgot to switch it on. I'll tack it on at about 112 degrees. I say you want to put it on as tight as you can, and it won't have much shrinking to do. When all the components are covered, then I'll stick them together, and then I'll put the radio gear in, and undercarriage and motor. So there's a fair amount to do yet. This is very unusual aeroplane because normally you've got a built-up fuselage. The process is exactly the same. I mean, you've still got to fit the radio gear and everything, but normally you would do it first, but there's nowhere to actually fit it to without it being in the way of covering. So we'll just let this heat up and then we'll crack on. As with all covering, we start at one end and tack that, and then go to the other end and tack that. Got it on the green thing here so that I can cutting board so as I can actually see it.
Only just tack the edge slightly, because if I have to lift it off again, then it's pretty easy to do so. So having tacked down each end, go to the middle. Oh, that's hot. And then fill in. I'm not putting this flat, I'm keeping it at an angle because I don't want to stretch it yet. And you'll notice, if you haven't used it before, that when you heat it up it goes clear, so you can actually use that to your advantage, because you can see that it's where you've been and if it's sticking. Okay, I think that's about that. Sometimes when you take the heat away, it keeps shrinking. So I'm going to do one section at a time in an effort to stop it twisting one way or the other. You get sort of condensation on the inside, which is a bit weird, isn't it, on the other side. Right, let's have a look. Put there to come out. What you might find is that the wood, if it's soft, will keep bowing and pulling in and pulling in, so you'll never tighten it up. This is not doing too bad. Got a bit there. There's a little bit there. I'm afraid it might be doing just that, pulling in. So although it doesn't shrink very much, it does shrink a bit. I may have to cut this square out, depending where I decide to mount the servo. Okay, that's not too bad. So now that will go in there like that. Glue on there, and then I can mount the motor directly to it. That's the fuselage done. I've got the wings and tail surfaces still to do. And I'm going to cover these all in one sheet and then cut it and just tuck it around the leading edge of it. Doesn't have to be watertight or anything, so that's what I plan to do there. So what I'll carry on then, guys, and when I've done all of this, I'll come back to you and we'll start to assemble it. Okay, good progress, guys. Everything's covered, and I've just stuck the horns in on the elevator and the rudder. So now I can start to assemble the aeroplane. I could go straight for fitting the fuselage to the wing, or I think possibly fitting the tailplane in. I'll cut the film away where it sits, so it would be a balsa to balsa join. Looks rather good, doesn't it? So yeah, there's a few little wrinkles in it, but I'm not too worried because it's just pulling in a bit where I've heated it to 150, much hotter, and it'll start making a hole in it, I guess. So if I glue that to that, and then when that's set, I can then glue that onto the wing, and I'll have a reference point by way of the tail plane. So what I think I'll do is just that. If I get this set at, in fact, what I can use that is my good old blocks. Pair there, and let's go for a pair there, like that. So I know that fuselage is absolutely upright. So all I've got to do is to glue the tail plane in here, and for that I'll use white glue to give me a chance to work. And I can get a square, make sure that it's a 90-degree angle. Yeah, that's pretty good. Right, let's just wedge this up and we'll come back later, put the wing on. Or the fin. Wing or fin. Been a couple of hours since I glued this. Glue looks set. All looks pretty true actually. Okay, it's not too heavy either, as you can imagine. It's pretty light actually. So what I want to do, I want to glue in this into there, like that, nice and easy, and then I'll put the fin on the back and we'll let that set overnight. Okay, now this should just slide in there. And kiss onto the nose. Just lift that off, that side, oops, and a little bit on that side. And that's it. Let's bend you back down. So, as long as that is level, and what I'll do is just hold things up a little bit. Some more blocks again. Stop it moving about. Leaning over to the right slightly. Yeah. Okay. The bare bones have been fitted together. The whole thing weighs so far about 45 grams. I'm thinking now, the reason I haven't fitted the aileron servo yet, or haven't decided, is because I wanted to see where the central gravity was. But I think it's going to have to go in here, because I was half thinking, wasn't I, that it could go on the bottom. But with this here, like that, let's just offer it up. That would go about there, and the horns there, that would sit there. Really short control runs. I mean, well, it's that 5 centimeters, whereas if it was on the other side up there, yeah, okay, yeah, let's put it on the top. It's not like I can conceal it because the whole thing's transparent anyway. So the original plan was to fit it inside here. Anyway, that's going to screw on the nose there like that. A little bit crude, but... And then the speed controller, that could mount under the cheek like that. Yeah, that goes in there quite nicely. And then I've got to... This is a huge lead's been extended, kind of unfortunately, but never mind. I can put the receiver wherever, and then the 2 rear servos are going to sit, rudder and elevator, going to sit in this area here, sort of like that. So I've just got to put a crossbar in there to allow it to sit down. It should go together quite easily actually.
So I'll break off here, guys, and I'll fit all this stuff, and then I'll come back to you and we'll see what it looks like. If you're enjoying the video, give it a thumbs up, helps to spread the word. Cheers, guys.
Right, I've connected up the control surfaces and I'm just going to fit the undercarriage, but just before I do that, I'll give you a look. So we've got elevator, rudder, ailerons. And throttle. So CG wise, I know you're wondering, I'm wondering too, it's about where's that somewhere? It's about there, which is about 30%. I'm hoping for a heavy propeller. So I'm just going to fit the undercarriage. So to do that, I've stripped away, let's turn that off. I've stripped away the film covering where it's going to glue. So that's going to glue on there. And I think I'm going to use epoxy. It's the only bit of epoxy on the model. So I'm going to mix some up and glue it on and weigh it down probably. I don't know if I can get these in there or not. Yeah, there we go. Blocks to the rescue yet again. They're called 321 blocks and you get them from Amazon or AliExpress or any of these sort of suppliers. I think I'm going to have to take those out, just the inside ones. Yeah. I'll put that on there with epoxy and possibly a block on the top. Something like that. So I'll crack on with that, guys, and then when that's all, I've got a tail wheel to go in as well. When that's done, I'll have to go and find myself a propeller. Coming on. Right, there we go. We'll let that set then, guys, and then think about some wheels. Been about an hour and a half since I've stuck it on, so it should be well stuck now. Yep, seems to be touching the wood, which is always good. Now all I've got to do is to find some wheels. When I say find, I mean make. Oh, I've got one more thing to do. I have made a tail wheel here, except it's not a wheel at all. It just looks like a wheel. That's going to go in. Change my glasses a minute. And go in this slot here. And then just need just to take out that plastic. Now no Clactobarante. Go in there like that. Nothing special, just sort of looks like a tail wheel, but I want it all to be in wood, including the wheels, so it's a wooden Spitfire. Okay. Fine. Now the wheels I was thinking I might make out of piece of ply. I could make them, could turn some wooden ones, which could look quite smart. I think I'm just going to go for some plywood ones. There we go. There's a couple. One's slightly thinner than the other. I think one's ply, one's balsa. Pretty much the same size. Yeah. Okay, they'll do nicely. Just to get me off the ground. The only thing it hasn't got is a centre hole marked. I'm going to put a piece of bushing in there. That's the inside diameter of these axles. So if you'd like to bear with me a moment while I find some wheels, and I'll come back to you as soon as I've got them bushed up. Okay, the wheels are on. I use rubber O-rings to go around the outside of the discs. Just file a little U shape in the disc and CA them on. So the wheels are on. She weighs 113 grams, ready to fly with battery. The CG, I haven't added any lead, is there. Looks about 25% to me, so I'm happy with that. So ailerons, elevator and rudder, and of course a rather rattly sounding motor. I think the battery's bouncing around a bit there. I haven't decided how I was going to fix the battery, so just for the minute, let's just put a rubber band around it. So yeah, she's ready to go. And I've got 2 days left spare. I had 9 days to do it. I've done it in 7, and I haven't spent a great deal of time on it, to be fair. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a go at the next indoor session. I think you'll agree it's very Spitfire looking, isn't it? Hey, really pleased with it actually. So that is your Spitfire, just scaled up, and it's just a silhouette really. As usual, a lot more work than I sort of anticipated, but oh, it should fly okay, I think. We'll find out, won't we? Join me guys, look out for the link to the maiden flight. Oh yeah, I'll see you in the hall, we'll give it a go. Thanks for watching, give the video a thumbs up as well. Always helps to promote the video to other flyers. Cheers guys, thanks for watching, as usual.